All right, today we're going to try and humanely remove and get a hive that's moved into the wall through this air conditioning penetration. I'm Dale the Bee Guy, your host, and we're going to take you step by step through trying to save these bees and get them into a working hive. We've figured out from the window dimensions, there's a bathtub here, that they're probably in the wall and a wing wall and the bathtub. We've removed the hot water heater on the inside. Now we're going to go in and cut a hole through the wall and do an inspection and find out exactly where they've set up their hive. All right, on our first inspection here, we've cut a hole on the first inspection hole. We removed this block. There's insulation in there. This is the exterior wall. There doesn't appear to be any soldiers or anything here. So we're just going to put this little inspection block back for now. And we're going to try and open up a section in here, which should lead under the bathtub. We've enlarged the hole. We're starting to see some young bees. Some small young bees. There's some older ones. This is underneath of the bathtub. See that? Can you see the bees? Okay, we just want to pull out as much insulation as we can until we start seeing the cone. And then we'll know. Inside underneath of the tub where we pull the insulation out. And that ball right there is probably about twice the size of a football. There's 35,000 bees to a pound. I would say there's probably 5 to 8 pounds of just bees. That's not going to include the cone and the honey and the brood. As you can see, they seem to be quite docile. Normally they'd be hitting us right now. Apparently they're a large number of mostly young bees. Okay, alright, now we've found that the hive is actually underneath the tub. So we marked the slabs, elevation, and the top of the tub to do a cutout through the stucco and the plywood to get to the back of the tub. You can see there's a lot more activity this evening, and we're going to calm them down before we cut the stucco and break that away. The reason for the hats is because the vibration is going to really upset them, and the older, more aggressive workers are coming back this time of the day. Now we're going to keep the smoker going so that it is calm. The workers coming in and the ones that are coming out are going to be calmed down, because this is going to piss them off. The vibration. So that's penetrating the inside as well. And the ones that are coming in, that I'm in their way. Alright, well, we've cut through the stucco and removed this beaver board and some insulation. As you can see, we've exposed where the main colony is. There's the back of the bathtub. The slope part of the bathtub. It's going to be a little difficult working around these AC lines. First we're going to remove the swag cone. This is a cone that doesn't have any honey in it yet. It's not been capped. There's no brood. You don't want to over smoke them. That causes panic. You just want to lightly smoke them. Let's see how they move. They're moving back in the wall. Notice the pitches, their tone has changed a little bit. I don't know if you can hear that or not. take a knife. See, there's no honey in that. There's no brood or anything. Nothing in there. Now the outer barriers of the cone is where the honey is. What we are after is the brood, which is the cone with the larvae cells. Now that's pollen. That's what they feed the baby bees when they're hatching. See the different colors of pollen? The cells are about half full. They won't cap that, but they also turn that into honey. Nothing in there. Now these bees in the cooler, I just leave it open and they fly back home. Now you can see that we've taken away the swag cone, which is on the outside that they usually put the pollen and the honey in. And we're starting to get to the brood, which the brood is capped cells, and it's baby bees that have been fed. The larvae have been fed, and they've been growing up from a little egg to a little larvae, and then they seal that, and the bee goes into a metamorphosis and changes from a larvae, like a caterpillar does, to a butterfly. So when this hatches in the next 2 to 3 weeks, that would all be more bees. And the queen will come in, lay more eggs. This tells you you have a healthy queen, because 3/4 of that is brood. The empty cells you're seeing is what's just recently hatched. That was probably last week. One all solid brood. We'll take some out and start banding it into frames. The brood is more important than the honey when it comes to relocating your bees and getting them out of a situation where they've made this their home and getting them into another place that they'll accept as home. You need the brood, and it's as important as the queen, because it will also, when you have the brood in the box, you can find the ball like this and knock that onto a frame, onto the brood, and set it into the box, and she'll stay where her brood is. It doesn't matter that it's in the wall, as long as she's got her brood, which have her pheromones and her scent, and of course her girls defending and working for her. Alright, this is a piece of brood cone. You can tell that this is not honeycomb. It's capped differently. It's got a brown cap, dark wax. That's where your brood is. Then we've just kind of sweep the bees away so we don't crush anybody. Now you pick out where your top edge is. You always want to put it so the top is still the top, because the oxygons are actually made at a little bit of an angle so the honey doesn't run out and the little baby bees don't fall out. We're going to want to cut off this top. We'll try and save as much as possible. destroying some of the brood is inevitable. We'll take rubber bands. Now there's a lip here on the top of the frame. You just kind of set that right down into that lip so it's snug and drops right in. Now you'll take and run across the bottom. And drop that in, pressing it just a little bit. Then I'll usually take these small pieces as fillers. Now within days of rubber banding this in, we'll save that as a filler. Now, this is the beginning of a queen cell. What they were going to do was, when they got overcrowded, the queen cell's much bigger. And she'll lay an egg in there, and they fill it with royal jelly, and then the queen they actually turn a regular worker bee cell into a queen by feeding it royal jelly. And then they either replace the old queen if she's sickly, or they'll go start another hive. And the workers that hatch at the same time as the new queen will go with her and take as much supplies as they can, and the old queen will go with the new hive, and the new one takes over because the old queen's more experienced. I like to use the thinner rubber bands rather than the fatter ones. I will use them if I have to, but it's to keep from blocking the cells so that when the baby bees are starting to hatch, they're not trapped by a rubber band. And the bees, as they glue all this cone into the frame and attach it, will actually chew these rubber bands through like a cockroach eating paper, and then just take it out of the hive. Now, we're going to set this into the hive, the first one. Okay, now we've banded the brood into frame, stuck it back in the hole so the bees cover it. You can see how we cut it and fit the sections. Drop that down into the box. You want to have some space here. And here's another frame that's full of brood. I like to leave some space here. There's a massive ball of bees up inside now, attached to the top of the tub. So we want to make a funnel and kind of slip it underneath them. Now the queen could be down in that. We don't want that to go into the hive. And we're going to cover them up. We'll leave them be for a little bit. Now, judging from the way they're marching back in, the queen was not in that scoop. Okay, now we've taken the frames that we wrapped the brood cone in, and we put them into a hive box. The bees formed a large ball up in underneath the tub, where we just made ourselves a little chute. Little cardboard chute. We're going to take this and knock the rest of the ball down. Into this cardboard chute. Oh, and there's hardly anybody left. Now see the way they're marching right to the hive? That tells me the queen's in the hive. See how they're marching just like ants? You want to kill those hive beetles. But the smell, that means the smell from the pheromones from the queen. The workers are fanning her. All their cone and brood is out of the house. There's just a little few remnants left up in there. So there'll be some stragglers for a day or two cleaning that up. And we'll just leave the hive right where it is, put a lid on it. Within a day, the hive is their new home. And people say you can never get them out in a situation like this. But as you can see, we have rescued a pretty docile hive. I got stung once, and that's because I got one pinched under my arm. And pretty perfect rescue. Within this time next year, this hive will produce about 100 pounds every 2 months. This year, it's too late in the year for them to do anything but maintain and build back up from what we've done. But all in all, that was a pretty good capture. And the reason for saving these is because of the temperament of the queen, and that's all. The temperament of the bees is all due to the queen's DNA. The sweeter the bees, the more you want to hang on to that queen. These are what we call sweeties. Sometimes we call them assholes. And that's our how to rescue a hive from a difficult situation. All right, well, we've saved another hive, and that hive will be a good productive hive. We are the Humane Honeybee Removal. Folks, our honeybees are our most important bug in the world right now, and we're losing them in record numbers. Don't let people tell you, oh, they're Africanized, they have to be destroyed. The chances of an Africanization is you have a better chance of hitting the lottery every day for the rest of your lives The bees are our #1 pollinator, and if we lose the bees, we're going to starve to death. And it's important to save everyone we possibly can. So for more information, you can contact me, or you can leave comments below the video, and we're looking to help you out when we can.